Welcome to today's webinar series, Fast Track webinar series. Today we're going to be covering group management, creating groups, editing manifests that may be sent to you from your customers, being able to import those into the Fast Track program. Today we have Adam. Adam will be here to answer any questions that we may have, Chief Technology Officer. Myself, Brian, Director of Customer Support, and Eddie will not be here today. He had some conflicting meetings he had to attend to. I will not be broadcasting my camera today, having a little technical issue with that, but Adam will have his there if you need to look at a live person. The agenda today, that we're going to be dealing with, we're going to go ahead and ignore the finalizing jobs there. We're going to be talking about creating new groups, importing files, creating reservations and managing those reservations, as well as talking about the customer portal, how you can set up links for them to enter reservations into a group. So without any further ado here, let's go ahead and get started with the program here. Inside the Fast Track program, some of you may or may not have ever seen it before. Up in the upper left up here, we have something called groups. This is where all the group management function is done. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see that you have a couple of options here: creating new groups, group passenger move, as well as adding group passengers to an existing group. So we're going to go ahead and start with how you enter the information in by selecting the group management option. Once you select on that, you're going to be presented with a window of all of your existing groups. Now, if I needed to go back and look at any one of these groups, I could simply highlight it, click on the edit option, and it would bring me up all of the information about that existing group, all the previous reservations that had been entered. But what we're going to do today is go ahead and show you how to import in the information for a group. So we're going to start with the add option. The next window, I'm going to create a group. You can label this group anything you would like to. I'll just go ahead and call it Test Demo. Select a vehicle type. Keep in mind that this type can be edited as you're adding in the reservations. This is just a placeholder, if you would, to enter in the information so that you can bring it into the system here. A contact, you type in whoever the contact is, a phone number for that contact, as well as a secondary contact if you need to, and any notes that would be added into that. The next thing that you would want to do is import your passengers. Now, hopefully your customer has sent you the list in an Excel or CVS spreadsheet. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and click on the import passengers. What it does is it creates that group. Click OK there. And it's going to now let me browse for that group that was sent to me in the Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and click on the little search function here. Browse my files. I have one here called Test1. I'll go ahead and select it. Click on the Open function. You're going to have a couple of options up here, whether the manifest has column headers or not. Hopefully it does. I'm going to go ahead and select has column headers here. Load the CSV file. And you'll see it brought in all of the information that was in that spreadsheet. Now, you'll notice down here in the lower right, there's something called mappings. Now, it automatically mapped all of the column headers that are in the CSV or Excel spreadsheet to what is required in the Fast Track. And the reason it did that is because the headers match up exactly what is required within the Fast Track to do that import. Had your customer sent you an Excel spreadsheet with different headings on it than was required for the import, you would simply here on the bottom left, select what it was named in the CSV file. So for instance, I could have selected airline and then said in the fast track, airline equals airline. Now on this one, as I stated, they already matched up, so I didn't have to do any of that mapping there. But again, had they not matched up, you would select from the file what they had labeled it, selected from the required field in fast track, and then clicked on map field. And over here on the right side, that would have been entered into the mappings field there. That way it knows where it needs to import these various fields and columns into the program for you to make the reservations. Now, once I get all this in here, what I want to do is select the import records. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what it's going to do is just verify that everything matches up to the requirements. Go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, it now imported all of the records that were in the Excel spreadsheet into the group area here. Now, these are still not reservations. They're simply holding in here for us to do something with them. What I want to next do is, if you're using the integrated flight tracking, you do have the ability to validate all of these flights. I have a couple of options here. I can adjust the time for verification. I can update the pickup time to if the flight time that they provided me did not match what is on the scheduled flight time based upon the flight tracking, it would update those. And I can update the flight time after verification there. So I'm going to go ahead and validate all of these flights here. It's going to ask me a question. I'm going to say, no, I don't want to update the pickup time. And yes, I want to update the flight time. Go ahead and click on OK on that. Now, had I selected different options there, it would have automatically adjusted the pickup times and or the flight times based upon what my settings were there. Once it verifies that, or doesn't in this instance, it's going to tell me that it verified 11 of the 39 flight arrivals. I didn't have any departures there, so it didn't tell me any of that stuff there. And again, I'm going to click OK. If I look over here, scroll over a little bit further, it's going to tell me the ones that were verified and the ones that were not verified. This would enable me to go back to my customer and either ask them for new flight information, or maybe if I just do a little research there, I can figure out what those actually were. They may have been off by a couple of minutes or something like that. This would allow me to go ahead and get that information, as well as pass the information back to that group coordinator, letting them know that they need to go back to their travelers and get the information there. So once I have all of that, again, I've created the group at this point. I have entered in all of the travelers. I have not at this point created any reservations for these travelers. That would be the next step I would want to do. You can also notice down here, I can edit these. I can manually add another passenger if I needed to, or I can actually delete them. The remove passenger from group reservation, we'll explain what that is here in a minute. And if I needed to export that out, I could. So the next step you want to do is the vehicle assignment. Click on the tab up here at the top, vehicle assignment. And in the next window, it's going to ask me a couple more questions to do a couple different things here. The first thing I need to do is select a customer that all of these reservations will be booked from. Now this will have all of your existing customers in there. You also see you have the ability to add a new one if it was not an existing one. In this one, I'm going to go ahead and add it to the, I'll go ahead and add it on the 121 customer. It's going to again ask me vehicle types that I want to. It defaulted to what I said there, but I can always change that here if I need to. Here, in the right side is a list of all of those travelers that we had created during that import there. Again, I can sort by just selecting any of the options here, any of the various options there. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and create my reservations. I have a couple of options on how I can create these reservations. If I single click and highlight one of them, it's got a couple of options over on the left side of what I can do. So perhaps all of these travelers are arriving at the airport and going to one hotel. I can simply click on the list of hotels here, select which one it might be. We'll go ahead and go to that one there. And since this is an arrival, it knows that that is where my drop-off is. And it was an arrival because it knew that of the flight type there. Down below here, I could change that information if I needed to. However, since these are arrivals, I probably don't want to. It already knows the pickup time, and it populated it here on the left, but I do have the ability to change that if I needed to. If I wanted to change the passenger name to what is listed up here, now I'm not going to try to type that, but I'm just going to type in Joe Smith, because that would be much easier for me. And if I needed to add any trip notes, I could do that here. Down below, I have a couple other options I can do here. If I want to create one row as a single reservation by highlighting the one row up above, click on the add one row above a single reservation. Down below, it creates one row, allowing me to create individual reservations. Now I could have done that also by selecting multiples here. If I select 3 of them and click on the single reservation, it is going to create one individual reservation for each one of these. I'm going to go ahead and do that just so we can see what happens on those. When I create the reservation, it's telling me I still have unassigned ones up above. Click on the yes button there, and it's going to take a couple of minutes. Now, what it is doing now is it is actually creating the individual reservations. We'll go to those here in a second so you can see where those are. It's going to ask me some questions. I'm going to say no. Probably should have turned that off there. And then it's going to have those customers will be removed from this list up above here. That way you have the ability to know which ones are still requiring to be booked into reservations as we go through here. And it's asking me if I want to send these, and I'm going to click OK there. Now, those ones that I just created are actually removed from this list because this list is a list of passengers that have not been added to a reservation. If I want to, I can go back over here to the group information, and here is that list again of all of those passengers. You would see now that some of them would have actual confirmation numbers. Don't know, I think I have to refresh that to get that to do that. But they would have confirmation numbers in here. I'll show you that here in a second. The other way to create these reservations, if I wanted to group them into an individual vehicle, I could, again, select one of these, and I notice that all of these are coming in at 1235. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in one vehicle. I'm holding my shift key, selecting all of those there. Add multiple rows as a single reservation. And as you can see now, it put all of them into the one vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and take that part off there. Well, it won't let me do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create that reservation, create the reservation. And now it's going to create one reservation with multiple people in it. So the previous one was individual reservations, and this one is going to be one reservation with 5 passengers in it. So let's go ahead and go out of this window now. The group that I was working with is the test demo here. You'll see that I have 9 of the passengers assigned. Let's go ahead and go back into that thing. And once I go in here now, I will be able to see, hopefully, those that have confirmations. So from in here, I can see which confirmation any one of these passengers, travelers are associated to. You will notice that if I sort this by confirmation number, I'm going to come down here. I have several here. These are the ones that I put into the one reservation. The other ones are individual ones. I do have the ability down here, if you notice it says remove passenger from group reservation. Perhaps the coordinator calls you up and says that this traveler has change of flight plans and will not be on that flight. I do have the ability from here to remove them from that group. Click on the yes, and they will be removed out of that reservation. Where they went is back into this list for me to be able to book them onto a different vehicle. So let's go ahead and find those reservations now. I believe I put them on July 17th. Go ahead and verify that. And you'll notice here, there are little people standing around in one of these columns. That is indicating to me that these are part of a group reservation. And by hovering over that, I can see that they are part of the group reservation. If I needed to see who was in those particular reservations, I can right-click on this, and it tells me up here a group of the, or a list of the group passengers. In here, I have all of the travelers. You'll notice also from here that I can remove this passenger, or I could actually move them to a different group reservation if I wanted to. So again, perhaps this person has changed their flight plans. You need to move them over to another one. If I simply click on the move reservation to different group reservation, it would allow me to move it over to one of the other reservations that I needed to. I have some here on the 18th that I could put them into those vehicles there. You'll also notice that I can edit things here if I need to. I also have the ability to add a person here to this reservation. Again, the coordinator calls you up and has a last-minute add. You don't have to go through the whole import process. You could simply add it to this. You know they're coming in at the 12:35 time there. I'm going to expand this out so I can see a couple of days here. Okay. So again, here's all my list of all of the group reservations that I have there. You also have the ability to do a search for individual passengers. Let me get a list of these passengers. If I click on the plus sign here, I can see the list of people that are in that vehicle. This one is Passia here. So what I'm going to do, again, coordinator calls you up, has a change on a passenger. You're not sure which reservation they're in. If you do a search here, and you type in passenger name, and I do a search for passengers, do a search, it will bring me to that reservation, and in here I can find that. So I don't have to go searching all over the place or require my group coordinator to know the where all of their passengers are. I can simply go do my searches for those various things. Going back to that groups, if I go up to the group passenger move, I can go in here, I can find the group that I'm working with. And again, here's all the reservations that I have for that. Being able to see all of the reservations. I can move them around from here if I would like to. I can also add a new group passenger if I needed to by going to the add group passenger and type them in here and enter them into the group if I needed to. So again, group management is going to have a list of all of the groups that I have created, all of the reservations and where they are by clicking on the edit option there. It shows me that list. being able to import them through there. One thing I do want to point out is we do have a help document here. By clicking on that, you can download that and review some of this material. We also have an import template that you can download and pass off to your group coordinator if you needed to, so that they could utilize that, keeping in mind that you do have the ability to manipulate theirs into importing it into the system here. Now, a couple other things I can do here. If I go to my documents and I want to go to multiple documents, for instance, and then let's go ahead and look at perhaps the customer corporate trip manifest. This would give me a list. Again, here's all my reservations. I'm going to go ahead and select several of these because these have a couple of passengers in them, or I could look at them all. If I want to create the manifest, in here, you'll have the information, the pickup, drop-off time, all of this stuff. Remember, costs can be hidden on these reports here. But if you look at this one down below here, the second one here that had all of the passengers in it, we have a list of the passengers, all of their names there, as well as the reservation that they're booked into, enabling you to give that to your customer if you needed to email that or whatever you needed to do with that. So you have the ability to do that stuff there. Look at those. Now you can look at those individually if you'd like to. If I highlight that one there, view the confirmation, it can be very similar information on it. It's got the passenger's name listed down in the field down here. You'll see all of the passengers down below here. Pick up, drop off information there. Okay, so the other functionality that we have, having recently added this, would be the group portal feature. In the group portal, we've created the ability for you to create direct links that you could hand off to the group coordinator, allowing them to pass it on to either their travelers so that they can book the reservations themselves, or that group coordinator could be able to book those reservations. So if we go up here underneath the menu and we go to the system global settings. Now this was covered, I believe, a couple of sessions ago on the internet reservations and the portal, but we'll go ahead and cover it here because this pertains to the groups. If I go into the internet reservations, again, a reminder, these are all of our settings here, our default general settings. And over here on the right side, we have something called portal profiles. So if I go to this particular portal profiles, I have a couple of different options in here. I've created a link or a portal profile called Phoenix Convention. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that one. Now I could go through the ad here, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the edit so you can see the information that's already in here. If I click on the edit option, in here I have the ability, I can label this, in my instance, I called it the Phoenix Convention. I have also created a limited pickup time on this thing from the 9th through the 14th. You can set the times there of when they can do these various things. Pricing options are not available when it's a group. This one I am booking directly into a group. Limited pickup and drop-off locations. Since this is a group coming in and I'm going to hand this link off to the coordinator or for them to pass on to their customers, I've created pickup location of Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport or the Phoenix Hilton Tapatio Cliffs, also for the drop-off there. Now I've created this portal profile being able to go both directions on it. I may have one that's only for arrivals, Phoenix Airport to the hotel, or multiple hotels if they had overflow hotels. And I can click on the add pickup or add drop off to enter any of those into there. Booking customer options. Reminder, you can book these into new customers. But however, on this one, I want to create it into a group. So I have a group called Phoenix Convention. Now, if you look here in my drop down, this is all of my groups that I've added into there. I added a group called Phoenix Convention, and I'm going to have all of these reservations go into that group. I can have it send a confirmation to the customer if I'd like to. I can type in whatever I want here as far as a subject. Thank you for booking. Your information will be provided to you shortly, whatever it might be. Now, keep in mind, these are going to go into a group profile, so they will not be actual reservations. This is simply a way for your coordinator or a group contact to be able to book the reservations into the group. I shouldn't say reservations, I mean travelers, passengers into the group, for you to later be able to create the reservations for those. This would just be a way that you don't have to do the imports on it. Direct link options. You're going to have the ability for them to have a direct link, which is this link here. And you'll also notice in this instance, I've created a password for it. That way, if somebody else just happened to find that link, they couldn't just randomly put in information without knowing the password. This would be a great way for you have a group coming in and the passengers are going to be booking themselves, but it's all coming into the group. That coordinator could then pass this link on to those travelers, provide them the password, and that way they could go ahead and book their reservations directly into that group, which you could later create and group those reservations. Perhaps it's shuttles or multiple people arriving and putting in vans or vehicles, whatever you want to do with them, depending upon your agreements with them. So this link here, I'm going to go ahead and click on the view link option here. This is a great way for you to test some of these features here, also being able to see what they do. And you'll notice that it's asking for the password on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and type in that password. In this instance, it was Phoenix 2019. Go ahead and click on the continue. And the next page is going to bring me to what you would have normally seen in the booking process. However, there are some changes here. You'll notice that the enter pickup, obviously I need to put that stuff in here. I'm going to select the 11th. Now I did have this thing created so it had limited pickup availability, the dates. So the group is only coming in, say the 10th to the 15th. They couldn't suddenly try to book these reservations later. Perhaps you have special agreements and pricing set up with them. So we're going to go to the 11th, 8:10. You'll notice here in the pickup location, I only have a couple of options. They don't have to start typing in all kinds of things. These are the options that I set up in that profile, that portal profile, being the only valid pickup and drop-off locations available for the travelers, passengers arriving or departing out of this group. I'm going to go ahead and select Phoenix Sky Harbor, select a drop-off. Now you could have multiple hotels here. Maybe there's overflow hotels, select that. Click on the continue option. And it's going to bring me to requesting some information. I'll just type in Joe, traveler. We'll go Smith again. I like Smith. Cell phone for them, that's their contact number, and email address. Down below here, they're going to select the airline that they're arriving on. I'm going to put in American Airlines on this one. Perhaps they want a baggage greet, flight number. It already has the information there of where they're picking up or dropping off, or the drop-off location. They can put in additional information in here, such as needs wheelchair or child seat or whatever it might be. Click on the continue option, and as you can see, it created a reservation summary. Now, this is not a reservation yet. This is merely being added to the group that you have created for this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the finish option here. And we're going to ignore that. Adam will look at that later for us. That reservation was now added into, let's go ahead and see where that thing went. If I go back up to my groups, I go to my group management, and I go to my Phoenix convention, click on the edit option here. You'll see that it entered in that information there for Joe Smith. Now, again, not a reservation yet, merely a list of the travelers that are coming into that group. So from here, I can go ahead and assign them to a reservation or a reservation. I'm going to go ahead and put them on this group here. A sedan, since it's only one traveler. I've got my pickup drop-off information already populated to it. Go ahead and select that. Create it as a reservation. Create the reservation. And that person who booked into that group is now booked into a reservation. It's asking me if I want to send that. I'm going to go ahead and click no there, and that is created. So if we go to that date, which was tomorrow, I believe, go ahead and look there and make sure, the 11th. You'll see right here, this was the reservation I just created. And I know that because it's got the little group indicator there letting me know it was part of it. It also tells me it's part of the Phoenix convention, letting me know that that was part of that convention group that I had created. It's got the information in there, where we're going, what we're doing, where we're dropping off, any prices associated to that various item there. So the other thing, let's go back into that portal one more time. I want to show you something here because remember I did create it to have specific dates and or times that was available to try to book. We'll go over here to the portal thing. We'll click on the group convention. It shows me the link right up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the view so I can see it. It's going to bring that back up for me now. Again, I need to type in that password. Go ahead and continue through that. This time I'm going to try to book it outside of the allowed dates on that. Go ahead and put the 27th, 8 a.m. in the morning, picking up at the airport, going to the hotel. And if all goes well, it's going to tell me that you're trying to book outside of the allotted booking time frame for that particular link and that group that's coming through there. Okay. So that is how we set up our groups, being able to create the groups underneath the group management. You can add passengers, look at your group moves. You also have the ability to create those group portal links that would enable you to pass that on to your coordinator, allowing them to pass it either to their customers or themselves being able to book their reservations in there. Adam, is there any questions or anything we have going right now?
No, nothing at this point, Brian.
Okay, anything you want to add on that as far as the functionality of that goes?
No, I think that covers it pretty much. You went through the, how to book into a group where you can get those. Are there any scenarios or potentially any additional scenarios around groups and even the portal that you'd want to, different uses and how you've seen other customers use this in their everyday?
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and see if I can explore that a little bit. There is a couple of options in there. If we go back to the global settings and we go into that portal functionality there and we look at my portal profiles. Now, the one I created here was a group function, meaning that they would be booked directly into a group for you to later create those reservations. And after you get all of the information in there, again, probably used in a shuttle type scenario where there's multiple people coming in, and you, the transportation provider, are then going to create the shuttles for them to book or get into. Once they get to the airport, you just need to know how many of them to put in there. The other scenario that could happen here could be there is a group coming in, and your transportation company has been selected as the preferred provider for that group coming in. But the individual travelers will be booking their own reservations and would be responsible perhaps for their own payments, or it could be booked underneath an existing customer where that customer would book them. But most likely it would be that you're the preferred provider. You want to create that link to give to the coordinator that they could then pass on to their travelers. So what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and set up that scenario here. Again, what I did is click on the add button down there, and we'll just call this the ABC Spring Group. Again, I can select various, these are my companies in here that I would want to have these reservations booked directly underneath. Again, I could select a specific booking time frame that they are able to book these reservations. I do have the options here of whether I show prices or not show prices. If you were passing this on and the travelers were then responsible for booking these reservations, chances are you would want to show the prices on that. We'll go ahead and select that one there. Go ahead and select a pricing plan that would be utilized for this particular portal profile. Go ahead and go down here and use get it to go there, that one there, because I know that one will work. Click OK. And again, either allow them to make hourly or not. Customize the information down below here. Select limited pickup and drop-off locations. Again, most likely if you are a preferred provider for a group, it is limited to the airports and/or hotels that you would be allowing them to book the reservations for. We'll go ahead and click the add pickup. We'll go ahead and make this again an airport, because you may want to create just one for arrivals and a separate one entirely for departures. Arrivals may be individual vehicles coming in, customers or travelers are responsible for their own payments. On the outbound, it may just be shuttles. So you may just be creating this for the pickup and drop off on the arrival part of it. We'll go ahead and add an arrival location here. And again, I'm just going to type in here a hotel, if I would. Go ahead and select that, click OK. So what I've done now is I've created the ability for it only to be available for, in this instance, arrivals picking up at the airport. You may have multiple airports that you want to allow these pickups, all going to the same hotel, or one airport going to a couple of various hotels. Booking customer options. In here, you have the ability to either add these as new customers, which would most likely be the occurrence if, again, you are creating or you are the preferred provider for a transportation of a large group coming in. You may want to save all of those underneath a new customer. You could then link that to a corporate affiliation. Maybe it's we'll go ahead and go with the Pepsi group coming in. You want to create a corporate profile as Pepsi, but all of these travelers will be adding their own reservations and responsible for their own payments on those things. I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank for now. You can have it booked underneath an existing customer. I go like this. I would select one of my existing customers. Now, if the travelers themselves are responsible for payments, chances are you don't want it going underneath an existing customer because they'll all be commingled underneath there. Or again, I can book it underneath the various groups if I created a group there. I can require a credit card, or I don't have to require the credit card. Again, this is a preferred provider scenario. Chances are I do want to require a credit card for them to utilize or to enter when they book into that. If I want them to be able to book in the future, I go ahead and select that option there, and it creates a email and password for that traveler to be able to book in the future with you. If it's just a one-time group coming in, you may never see these people again. You may not want to enable that function right there. Direct link options, by selecting on this one here, again, I have the ability, and this is probably what you want to do. You want to create this link to either email out yourself to all of the attendees or pass to the coordinator. That link is right here. Again, I can view that there. I can limit when the link is available to even be accessed. So we'll go to the 17th on that. Again, I have the ability here to limit when they're even able to book. The link availability is lets me know when they can even see that link. Two different things there. Password to it. We'll go ahead and put a password on there. My creative passwords, and require that password. So in this scenario, now what I would want to be doing is enabling them. I would hand that off to the coordinator, or I could send it to all of the travelers themselves. Maybe I got a list of all of the emails and I wanted to email that out to them. I could do that. Click on the view option here. It's going to bring me back to the reservation page. This one will behave a little differently. Let's see if I can remember what my password was there. Go ahead and click on the continue. It's going to bring me into that. My dates of travel, again, select those. As you'll notice, it only has an airport for the arrival. Drop off is only the hotel. Do my search. It would bring me now to be able to select which vehicle I'm going to utilize for this based upon which vehicles were available in the pricing plan. If you recall on the other one, we didn't let them select any vehicles because it was just going into a group where you were later going to determine which vehicles they were in. In this one, it now enables them to be able to select what type of vehicle they want to book for this reservation. Maybe they're traveling with their family. They can go ahead and select that vehicle there. Go ahead and type in traveler name on it. Cell phone number, email address. Greet sign alias if they need something different there. It populated in the airport. I'll go ahead and select American Airlines from that. It's got that. You'll also see that they have the ability to add various items there. Those are based upon what you have selected within that pricing profile that you set up on that portal profile. Now when I go with the continue, whoops, all right. Now when I go with the continue, it's going to ask me different information. Now it does require the credit card number, address, information in there. And as you see down below, it's enabling them to be able to create their own online account for them to be able to book reservations with you later. This was an option there that I pointed out. You don't have to allow this part down here. But they would have to enter their credit card information to continue beyond this point. So once they book that, it would then be added into your dispatch screen there. letting you know that it had been entered into the system using one of those group profiles, if you would there. All right. That cover that part there, Adam?
Yes, Brian, thank you.
Okay. So in summary, we've covered the various things there, the groups, how you create groups internally within the system, being able to click on the group management, add your group in there, and then from there, import your group into it, simply clicking on the add. This would be where they have sent you their spreadsheets that you could do the enter from, and then eventually assigning all of those travelers to the various reservations, what you can do with it. You can move those passengers around. If I edit this particular group here and go into it, it gives me a list of all of the travelers. It gives me the ones that have been booked into reservations, confirmation numbers. The others are still waiting for me to do something with. If I go up to the vehicle assignment, this is a list of all of the ones that have not been added into a reservation yet, from where I can then put them into reservations. I can move them around down here if I need to remove it from the group reservation. Remember, you can do the remove there. You also have the ability to export that grid there. Keep in mind, we do have the help document, as well as you being able to download the import template to pass on to your customer for them to provide you the information. The other functionality there was being able to create group portal profiles, going underneath the system global setting, going over to the internet reservations, the portal profiles, and being able to create that group by clicking on the add option there. We'll go into this one here so we can see it. In here, we have limited availability of when they can book those reservations, where they can pick up and drop off, which customer, or in this instance, a group, target group it's going to be entered into, as well as the direct link that you can pass on to your customer. So in summary, I think that covers up all of the group functionality there, being able to add those as well as what you can do with them. Adam, anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
Nope, you did a great job, Ryan. Perfect.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll hopefully see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.